Welcome to Sue Quiet Sleep. I'm so glad you are here tonight. Find a comfortable position and let your body settle gently beneath you. Relax your shoulders. Release any tension in your jaw. Soften the muscles around your eyes and brow. Take a slow breath in through your nose and breathe out through your mouth. With each steady breath, the sounds of your day begin to fade quietly into the background. There is nowhere else you need to be tonight. Now, let yourself drift softly into tonight's story. Tonight, we step softly to the broad water in the southeastern gardens of Chang'an. 3 days before the Dragon Boat Festival, the 5th day of the 5th lunar calendar, nearly 1,300 years ago, at the height of the Tang Dynasty. It is the hour before sunrise. The water around the lake in the southeastern garden is still and quiet. The paths through the gardens are empty. Chang'an City remains under curfew, with the walled gates still closed until the morning drums begin to echo from the center of Chang'an. The eastern sky is only beginning to pale beyond the low rooftops and the dark shapes of the cypress trees along the garden wall. Not far from the dock, a lone figure walks quietly along the lakeside path. He carries a small lantern and moves with the unhurried pace of someone who has made this journey many times before. Ahead of him, a familiar shape rests beside the water, waiting in the darkness for a little while longer before the city wakes. He has the whole lake and the boat to himself. The lake lies calm and wide. Its surface is a shallow gray mirror. The distant pavilions along the far shore, only faint shapes in the early dark. The air is warm with the season, heavy and still. carrying the faint smell of damp earth and the lotus beds. Somewhere in the dark, at the center of the pool, a narrow dog reached out from the bank. Beside it, the dragon boat waits, tied with 2 ropes to the dog post. Its painted hull dark in the lamplight. He is the boatman who cares for this official dragon boat vessel. His hands have known its rope and its wooden grain for many years. He loosened the knots slowly. Through the quiet hours of the night, 2 ropes have held the boat beside the dog, one at each end. His fingers walk through each knot with care. The fiber, thick and slightly damp from the night air. He hangs his lantern on the dog post. Its amber light falls across the dog planks and across the side of the boat, picking out the curve of the painted skulls along the hull. The boat makes the smallest movement when the last rope is free. A soft shift against the wood of the dog. The sound of water sliding along a hole. The pool receives it gently. He coils the rope and places them on the dog. The dragon boat floats free for the first time this season, swaying just slightly in the still water. He steps into the boat, finds his footing on the hull plank, and reaches for the paddle. He places both palms against the dog post and pushes gently. The hull slides away from the dog with a slow, smooth motion, and the dark water opens around it. The paddle slips into the water with almost no sound. The mist holds close to the surface, and the ripples behind the boat fade gently into it. He rows with a patient rhythm, a long reach forward, a gentle pull, a pause while the boat floats between strokes. Each pull sends a narrow ripple across the still water, and the mist closes behind it as if Nothing has passed. The paddle moves through the water with an even, familiar resistance. The whole finds its balance with each stroke, settling into the surface of the pool. He rows without hurrying. The strokes coming one after another in the quiet dark. The lantern on the dock grows smaller behind him. Its reflection stretches across the pool surface. A thin amber line that wavers once and then holds still. Near the center of the pool, he lets the paddle rest across the rim of the boat. The lotus leaves are closed. Their round shapes rest flat on the surface. Dark green discs, each one of them still and heavy with the morning damp, arranged in loose cluster that the mist softens into something quieter still. The boat drifts gently among them. The leaf part just enough to let the whole pass, then settle back. He does not paddle. The boat moves slowly of its own remaining momentum, turning a little as it goes. The mist is very close here at the center of the pool. It rests just above the water, softer than early light, thicker than air. The far bank has disappeared into it. The dock lantern is only a faint warm blur behind him. The lotus leaf rests on the water all around the boat. Not a single one moves. The pool has been silent. But now, something shifts at its edges. A waterbird calls once from the far reed bed. A single low note, lingering for a moment, and then it's quiet again. Near the western bank, a long-legged waterbird stands in the shallow. One leg raised, perfectly still. It has been there since before he arrived. As the gray morning light slowly increases, it lowers its foot and takes one step through the water. then become stills once more. The fish beneath the surface begin to move. He can see the faint disturbance just below the lotus leaf. A slow turning, a depth beginning to wake. Pool is still. The water is waking in its own slow way. He lets the boat drift to a full stop. The paddle rests across the seats. The dragon boat sits at the center of the pool. The mist wrapping around its hull. The dark water perfectly flat on all sides. There is no wind. The mist holds the boat as if the pool has taken it in. From here, the dog lantern is only a faint warm point in the gray. The shore is a soft line of trees and rooftops on all sides. All of it equally distant. All of it equally still. He sits with his hands on his knee. The mist is very close. It rests just above the water, moving only with the boat slightest turning. The pool holds the silence completely. The only sounds are the faint creak of the hull and the soft, slow sound of water against the front of the boat as its hull is placed. The Chang'an eastern sky brightens slowly. A thin wash of pale gray appears above the Chang'an city walls. Then a faint line of blue behind it. And then, very gradually, a warmth at the horizon that has no name for its color yet. Only the sense of light arriving from somewhere far beyond the rooftops. First, the tiles at the top of the pavilion roof take on a faint shape against the sky. Then the eave of the nearer shore buildings separate from the dark behind them. The willow branches along the bank become distinct outlines. They are long lines dropping towards the water. The mist thins as the light increases. The surface of the pool catches the new brightness and holds it. A pale diffuse glow spreading outward from the eastern bank towards the center of the lake where the boat rests. From the city center, the low beat of the morning drums begins to travel across the wards of Chang'an. A distinct rhythmic signal that the gates will soon open. Chang'an City wakes as one body, slowly. The pool remains still and gentle in its own time. The rhythm of the return is the same as before, long and even and calm. The boat turns slowly. The trail of ripples behind it crosses the faint path it made before, and the thinny mist closes over them again. Little by little, the shore grows closer. The lamp on the dock becoming more distinct as the boat draws near. A small warm flame still burning steadily in the brightening morning. The morning light has reached the hall. The painted skills along the side catch it as a faint gloss. At the front of the boat, the dragon head faces the shore and its eye forwards. He paddles without hurrying. Each stroke is the same as the last. The paddle enters the water and glides through it. The pool receives it without resistance. The dock is closed. The ropes rest where he left them on the dock. He guides the boat alongside the dock. The dragon head slides gently past the post. He reaches out and holds the hull steady against the wood. One rope is tied at the front of the boat, then the other at the back. Soon, the boat is secure beside the dock once more. It rests beside the same dock and the same two posts where it spent the night. The morning light falls across the hall now. The lacquer catching the pale early color of the sky. The scales bright where the lantern had made them dim. He lifted the lamp from its hook. For a moment, He stands at the end of the dock. The pool behind him, wide and still. The mist has thinned to almost nothing. The far bank is visible. The pavilion roof lines. The line of willow trees. The water, flat and pale, beneath the morning. The boat rests gently at the dock once more. 3 days remain before the Dragon Boat Festival. The pool is calm and the morning has fully arrived. And so the boatman walks back along the dock posts as the first light of morning spread quietly across the pool in the southeastern gardens of Chang'an. The dragon boat is tied and still at the dock behind him, its hull carrying the pale reflection of the early sky. The ropes firm at the posts. The mist lifting from the surface of the pool as the world of Chang'an slowly wakes. The pool is wide and calm. The willow branches still. The lotus leaf beginning to open in the new warmth of the morning. The Dragon Boat Festival is still 3 days away. The water lies calm beneath the growing light. Tonight, we step softly into the inner room of a silk merchant's household. In a ward just north of the West Market in Chang'an. 4 days before the Dragon Boat Festival. The 5th day of the 5th lunar month. Nearly 1,300 years ago, at the height of the Tang Dynasty. It is a warm, late spring afternoon. The room faces north and holds the shade of the afternoon. Through the high window comes the sound of the household. A cart crossing the courtyard stones. A door drawn close. Then silence. The silk merchant's wife sits before the work table where 5 reels of silk thread have been laid out for her. She has done this work before every Dragon Boat Festival since she was a girl. The cords she will make are called long life threads, twisted from 5 colors of silk and tied around the wrist and ankles of children on the morning of the Dragon Boat Festival as a protection through the heat and illness of midsummer. She has lived in this world long enough to know every household by name and every child by sight. This year, she will make courts for 9 children. She arranged the reels in their order on the table: green, red, yellow, white, and black. These 5 colors corresponds to the 5 directions and the 5 phases of the ancient China cosmology. Green for ease and wood, red for south and fire, yellow for center and earth, white for west and metal, black for north direction and water. A cord carrying all 5 holds all direction in a single form, tied around a child's wrist at the beginning of the summer. The cord is woven through the 5th month and into the 6th, until the first deep rain of the 7th month. When the cord is released into the running water and carried away, taking it with the heat and illness of the summer. She lifts a length of green thread from the reel and holds it in the afternoon light from the window. A single clean line of color against the room's shadow. She put it down and begins. She measures by the length of her arm. From the reel, she pulls the thread to her fingertip, fold it back at the elbow, pulls another arm length, and fold again. 3 arm lengths of each color for a standard cord. 15 strands in total. The motion is the same each time. Pull to the fingertips. Fold at the elbow and place the fold aside. She finishes the green and place the 3 folded lengths together. After that, she takes up the red reel. Pull to the fingertips. Fold at the elbow. She has measured cords by arm length enough times that the motion lives entirely in the body. The threads run between her fingers with the smooth resistance of good silk, neither stiff nor loose, holding its form as it moves. For the cord intended for the infant next door, she pulls only 2 arm lengths of each color. 10 strands in place of 15. The resulting cord, lighter and finer, size for a small wrist. She walks through each reel in order. The 5 measured bundles grow on the table's left side. When all 5 colors are measured, she cut. The small iron scissor separate each folded bundle with 1 clean snip at the top of the fold. 15 strands per cord, each the same length. She runs her finger along the ends of each group to check that the lengths are even. Silk freeze at a fresh cut. A light fuss at each end that she smooths down with a dampened fingertip. She gathers all 15 strands into a single bundle. Green strands innermost, black outermost. The other 3 color string layered between, and taps the end against the table to align the tips. Then holds the bundle to the afternoon light. The 5 colors together before twisting, still separate, still visibly distinct. Each color holding itself. A moment before they become something combined. She anchors one end under the edge of the liquor ink stone at the table's near corner, firm enough to hold, not so firm that the strands are compressed. She takes the free end in both hands and begins a slow, even rotation. Both hands turning in the same direction. The strands spiraling around each other. Too tight, and the cord working one release. If too loose, then the colors will not sit properly. The strands drifting apart rather than locking together. The colors begin to spiral. Green move behind red, red behind yellow, yellow behind white, white behind black, black behind green again. The slow rotation continues. The 5 separate strands become a single twisted cord. Each color cycling across the outer face in turn. Present, then gone, then present again. She holds the cord at length to check it. Dense, even. The colors bright and locked together. She released the anchor end. The cord stored tension resolved into one small final tightening of the spiral. Then still. This is the long part of the work. Chord after chord. The motion is the same. Measure, cut, align, anchor. Take the free end and turn. This inner room holds its afternoon quiet. Light from the high window move slowly as the sun tracks west. The shadow of the window frame crossing the table surface by a hand's width between one cord and the next. She does not think about the motion. Her hands know it entirely. What she watches is the colors. Each cord is different in appearance, even though the strands and method are the same. This one, the red color is prominent, sitting near the outer face of the twist. That one, the yellow dominates. Each cord carries the same 5 colors in different proportions of what the eye sees, depending on where the twist happens to catch the light. She finished one and put it in the row forming along the table's right edge. Takes up the next bundle. Turn, turn, and turn. The row grows. Outside the window, the word sounds drift in. a child voice, a gate. Then silence returning. She knows which cord is for which children before she finished twisting it. The infant next door, not yet walking. Her cord is the lightest. 10 strands instead of 15. The spiral is fine. She will tie it around the ankle rather than a wrist. Her husband's young nephew, visiting from the Eastern Ward for the Dragon Boat Festival. His cord is the longest. He is tall for 7. The daughter of the household senior kitchen attendant. Her cord has the finishing knot worked into a small flat shape rather than a plain loop. A detail she will notice and remember. The 3 children of the neighboring household. The widow's 2 sons. The boy from the compound at the lane's end, whose mother asked her to make one last month. She does not need to write these down. Each cord has a child waiting for it as she twists it, one by one. The child carried in her mind while her hands turn the silk. On the morning of the Dragon Boat Festival, before the household begins its other preparations, the cords will be brought out. She will tie each one herself. A single loop, a flat knot, snug but not tight, and the child will wear it through the 5th month and the 6th into the 7th as the summer deepens. The cord is not to be cut or removed. In this household, when the first great rainstorm comes in Chang'an, the storms of deep summer that arrive with sudden darkness and the full weight of rain falling at once. The cords are untied and released into the running water in the lane. The storm water carries them out through the Chang'an's drainage channels and away. With them go whatever they have gathered in the weeks of wearing. The summer heat, the season illness, the harmful air of the 5th month. She placed the finished cords along the shelf by the north wall. 9 long live threads in a row, each twisted from green, red, yellow, white, and black, each color in its place in the spiral. In the late afternoon light, through the high window, the 5 colors catch the light differently on each cord. The red, warm. The green, cool. The yellow, steadiest of the 5. Together in the row, they are vivid against the sharp, dark wood. She looks at the row for a moment. In 4 days, these will be on the wrists and ankles of 9 children throughout the world. Small silk spiral woven through the heat of summer. The festival will bring its glutinous rice ball and its mugwort above the gates. These 9 cords will already be doing their quiet work, tied against the skin, carrying the 5 colors through the long days of summer. And so, the silk merchant's wife completes the afternoon cord making in the north-facing inner room. 5 colors silk reels set aside. The 15 strands bundles, twisted and finished. 9 long live threads waiting in their rows on the shelf, where the light from the window falls and catch on the colors. The green, red and yellow, white and black, vivid and still. The Dragon Boat Festival, 4 days away from now. Tonight, we step softly into the noodle shop in the ward just north of the West Market in Chang'an. On the morning before the Dragon Boat Festival, the 5th day of the 5th lunar calendar, nearly 1,300 years ago, at the height of the Tang Dynasty. It is the hour before the world comes to life. The lane beyond the gate is silent. The air has the particular softness of early summer morning. not the cold pressing weight of winter, but something warm and still, carrying the scent of damp earth and distant water from the city's canals. The woman, who is the shop owner, has been awake a little while already. Most mornings, her walk begins with noodles. By dawn, broth would be heating on the stove, dough waiting to be rolled and cut. Dumplings prepare for the day's customers. The menu changes with the season, and the ingredients available in the markets of Chang'an. But the rhythm of the kitchen rarely change. Today is different. This morning, her work is not noodles. A large clay bowl set out last night. Glutinous rice. The soft round grain used for Dragon Boat festival food, soaking through the dark hours, sits on the prep table. The grains are soft and pale. Today, she will make Zongzi. It is glutinous rice wrapped in fragrant reed leaf, tied to Parcel and slowly boiled for the Dragon Boat festival. 4 neighboring households have placed their orders. She will make enough for all of them. The reed leaf were soaked overnight in the large basin to soften, and they need one more wash before use this morning. She carries the basket of softened leaf out to the courtyard. The stone basin is where it always is, to the left of the bamboo, below the shelf. The plum tree holds its summer leaf without moving. The bamboo stands still beside it. She draws cool water into the basin. One by one, she lifts each leaf, long and flat, and faintly shining from the soak, and pass it through the water. Each leaf is checked with her fingers. Any torn edges, any thin patches that might split under hours of boiling. Good leaf go to the stack on the left. Any with damage go into the discard pile. The smell of wet reed leaf is clean and green. Something new that belongs only to this season. Entirely different from anything the kitchen smells like in winter. For a moment, she stands in the quiet courtyard. She placed the lamp on the high shelf where she always places it. She crouched before the clay stove. With the iron scraper, the cold ash is drawn out and set aside. Fresh charcoal is arranged inside. She opens the amber tube, a small clay pipe fitted into the stove wall for drawing air. She breathed gently into it. Somewhere deep within the charcoal, a glow begins to wake. A moment later, the paper at the base takes the flame. She does not rush the fire. It knows what to do every morning. The large clay pot goes on to begin heating. Not the broad pot she used for noodle stock, but the wide, deep pot kept for long boiling. It will take time to come fully to heat. The kitchen is warm at the edges of the lamp reach, dark in the corners. The smell of waking charcoal rises. The same smell as every other morning before the day begins. She lifts the cloth from the large bowl. Inside, the glutinous rice, soft and pale from its night of soaking. What comes out is translucent. A soft white that seems almost to glow in the lamplight. She pours the soaked rice into the shallow bamboo basket woven tightly enough to drain the water. The water runs through. She spreads the grain evenly to help them drain. Then she put the basket aside. The stove fire builds behind her. The water in the large pot is beginning to warm. The kitchen holds the quiet of early work, the small sound of the fire finding its rhythm, and the silence between. She lays the station on the long prep table. The stack of wash reed leaf, flat, their smooth sides up. The basket of drained glutinous rice. The grains, pale and translucent in the lamplight. At the table tray, the small archway jar of jujube, dried red dates, dense and dark. Beside it, a shallow dish of chestnut, the pale kernels split open, softened from an overnight soak, and a basket set aside for the plain glutinous rice Zongzi, ordered by two of the neighboring households. Several lengths of cord lying along the table's edge, cut and ready for tying the finished parcel. She stands for a moment and looks at what she has laid out. Then she takes the first two leaves and begins. Two leaves. Their white ends overlapping. She folds them in her palms. The leaf carving under her thumbs, and the cone forming. She first put the rice into the base, then the filling, two jujubes at the center, then add more rice over the top. The leaf folded down, one lap, then the other. The shape closing into a triangle. Some of the orders ask for chestnut instead. For them, a chestnut half pressed into the center, pale, dense, less sweet than jujube, more earthen. Its flavor absorbed into the rice over the long boil. And two of the household has asked simply for plain rice, no filling, only the rice alone, which produce its own sweetness over hours of boiling. She fills the roll differently for each household. Jujube, chestnuts, or plain rice. This is the long session of the morning. Fold, fill, close. The motion is the same and slightly different each time. Different leaf, bend differently. And also the filling. They sit differently in each rice parcel. The triangles are not also identical. Her hands move without deliberation. She finds this pace is gentler compared to noodle making, more settled, more patient. Nothing asks to be rushed. The row of finished glutinous rice parcel grows at the far end of the prep table. Outside, the first morning birds are beginning somewhere beyond the wood wall. Not yet distinct, just the suggestion of bird sound returning to the early summer morning. When a small row is finished, she reaches for the cords, waiting along the table's edge. She winds the cord several times around the body of each parcel, around the white base and up towards the tip, keeping the folded leaf from opening under the long pressure of boiling. At the end, a knot, tight, flat, tested with a brief pull before she puts the parcel down. It should hold through many hours of boiling without loosening. She tests each one. A cord is thin but strong. She has used this material for many years for this purpose. The motion of tying is not something she has thought about in many years. It lives entirely in her hands. The finished parcel rests in their row, neat, triangular. Their leaf surfaces deep green and shining. The lamp on the shelf has been burning through the whole of this. The fire beneath the large pot builds steadily. The water warming through the thick clay walls. One enough are made to fill the white pot She transferred them carefully. She placed each parcel upright in the pot. Point up, white base down. Pack closely so they will not shift in the boil. She added more water into the pot and placed the lid. She returns to the table and continues making the next batch. The morning moved forward without hurry. The fire in the stove, the row of tied parcel growing steadily at the far end of the prep table. When the pot comes to a boil, she notes it and continues working. The water changes color slowly from clear to a faint amber green as the leaf releases into the water. The smell that rises with the steam is the smell of the Dragon Boat Festival and no other. The kitchen is filled with the smell of cooked reed leaf, sweet glutinous rice, something warm and starchy. She makes the second batch while the first boils. By midday, the kitchen smells entirety of it. She set down the last tied parcel of the second batch and goes to the large pot. She lifts the lid. Steam rises in a full cloud. The full warm smell of the Dragon Boat Festival filling the kitchen in a single wave. The glutinous rice parcel wrapped in reed leaf are deep green brown now. Their cords still tight. She lifts one and unwrap a corner. The rice inside, fully translucent, holding its shape, cooked through. She lifts the first batch out one by one and hangs them along the bamboo pole beneath the ray beam. The parcels hang in a row, free in the kitchen air, cooling on all sides. The second batch goes into the pot. The lid goes back on. Outside, the world has settled into its daily rhythm. Inside, the roll of finished glutinous rice parcel hangs from the beam. green-brown, dense, cooling slowly in the warm air that smells entirely of this morning. And so, the noodle shop owner of the ward just north of the West Market spends the day before the Dragon Boat Festival in her kitchen. The fire burning steadily through the morning. The large pot filling the room with steam and the smell of cooked reef leaf and sweet rice. The smell that belongs only to this day and this 5th month. The rice parcels cooling in their rows. The ward quiet outside. The Dragon Boat Festival only one night away. By evening, neighbors will come through the gate. Each will leave with their order tied neatly. Some for the festival table. Some carry to relatives in other wards in Chang'an. For now, they hang cooling from the beam in the quiet kitchen, in the particular air of the day before the Dragon Boat Festival. Tonight, we step quietly into the inner gift preparation workshop of the southern inner palace of Chang'an, the residence of empire. At the height of the Kaiyuan era, one of the most prosperous periods of the Tang Dynasty. It is the afternoon, the day before the Dragon Boat Festival, which falls on the 5th day of the 5th lunar month. The festival itself will begin tomorrow. The palace is the empire personal palace, the smaller court, the palace of music and evening gatherings. It feels far removed from the vast and formal Daming Palace, where the court officials debate matters of empire and foreign envoys arrive for grand audiences before the throne. The gift preparation room faces east and receives the afternoon light through lattice windows. Inside, 5 palace attendants work at 3 low tables, while another sits at a garment station along the far wall. The room holds the quiet particular to focus work. No voices, just the small sounds of silk, cord, and lacquer wood, and the occasional soft sound of something being wrapped and tied. Tomorrow morning, the Empire will distribute the Dragon Boat Festival gift to senior court officials assembled in the morning at Daming Palace. Everything on these tables must be ready before sunset. The workshop is overseen by a senior court lady, a woman who has served in the palace for 17 years. She has organized these Dragon Boat Festival preparations and gifts many times that the rhythm of the work now feels as familiar as the changing of the seasons. She moved between the 3 tables. First table, rows of small glutinous rice dumpling, already wrapped in reed leaf and tied with cord. Palace women gather them into hanging cluster of 9, arranging the bundles at varying lengths before fastening them together. 3 women work here now, their hands moving steadily from one cluster to the next. Second table, the long live cords, also called longevity threads, lengths of braided silk in 5 ritual colors, twisted together into a single striped cord. One palace woman finishes the last of the braiding. Third table, the sachet and the fans, the most varied and carefully sorted of the gift. She surveyed the rooms once, then goes to the first table and crouches to check the glutinous rice dumpling wrapped in reed leaf. The 9 small glutinous rice dumplings are one of the palace Dragon Boat Festival specialties. Each one of the 9 small dumplings is made from fragrant glutinous rice, packed tightly into reed leaf wrapping and tied with cord, boiled and fully cooked. When unwrapped, the rice is dense, smooth, and faintly luminous. The court poet called them white jade balls. The 9 are bound together with a longer cord into a single hanging cluster. 9 at different lengths, so they cascade. The number 9 is auspicious, the young number that amplifies the Dragon Boat Festival 55. The 5th day of the 5th lunar month. 9 small glutinous rice dumplings are not merely food. They are a gesture of good fortune. A palace woman turns one of the completed cluster in her hands, inspecting the tying. The 9 small green bundles rotate slowly, their cords falling at different lengths in a neat cascade. She put it down and picked up the next one. The second table. The 5 colored long life cords or 5 color silk is one of the oldest customs of the Dragon Boat Festival. The 5 colors correspond to the 5 directions and elements of ancient Chinese cosmology. Green color for the east direction and the element of wood. Red for the south and fire. Yellow for the center and earth. White for the west and metal. Black for the north and water. A cord carrying all 5 holds all directions in a single form. Tied around a children's wrist at the beginning of the summer. The cord is wound through the 5th month and into the 6th until the first deep rain of the 7th month, when it is released into the running water of Chang'an canals, taking with it the heat and illness of summer. The palace workshop has produced these every Dragon Boat Festival. The braided length lie in careful rows on the second table, vivid in the filtered afternoon light. The festival own color scheme. Next, the third table. The sachets are the most varied of the gift, the most carefully adjusted to their recipients, each with a small embroidered silk bag, sewn shut around its content inside. Standard sachet carry dry mugwort and calamus. The final sachet reserved for the empire's personal distribution, carrying fragrant materials such as resin and dry flowers brought along the Silk Road trade routes. Aromatic materials that have journeyed across desert, mountain, and distant kingdoms before reaching the markets of Chang'an, and from there into the palace workshop and storerooms. The scent that rises from the third table when the sachets are handled is layered and difficult to name. The familiar Dragon Boat Festival herbs with something richer lingering beneath them. The senior court lady selects 3 of the finest sachets and set them to one side. They will go into the empire's own hands tomorrow. She then moves on. Her steps carry her past the work table towards the quiet corner of the room. Along the far wall, separate from the busy work tables, a palace woman sits at a low table reserved for the garments. Beside her rests a lacquer box delivered that morning from the palace weaving and dyeing office. Inside are the summer court robes, thin silk, finely woven, cool against the skin in the heat of the 5th month. Each robe has been measured for its recipient. The most distinctive detail is hidden within. The recipient name and rank are written on the inner facing, marking the moment of bestowal as clearly as any document of appointment. The woman folds 2 garments now, each half twice, before placing inside a cloth envelope tied with 5-color cord. Beside each envelope, she writes a clear notation recording the recipient's name, rank, and order of distribution. The senior court lady leaves the garment table and returns to the 3rd work table, where the fans await their final inspection. At the far end of the third table rests the final category of gift, the fans, round fans, each a circular frame of fine lacquer bamboo covered with white silk. The silk face carries a painting, water and willow branches, a landscape rendered in a few brush strokes, or a single flower set against plain white silk. The Dragon Boat Festival fan has its own history at the Tang Court. Empire Taizong, a century before the present reign, painted his calligraphy on 2 fans and presented them during the Dragon Boat Festival to his 2 chief advisors, advising them to fan in a clear breeze that brings forth virtuous practices. The fan serves as a figure for benevolent and upright government. The story became well known. Since then, a fan bestowed at the Dragon Boat Festival has carried a meaning beyond its practical use. It is a sign of imperial trust. The senior court lady opens one of the fans. The silk catches the afternoon light. She closes it and places it with the others. By the lattice windows, a long table awaits in the afternoon light. One by one, the palace woman brings their completed work to it. Then the assembly begins. Each gift package is assembled for its recipient. The arrangement follows rank. For the most senior officials, who will stand in the front rows at tomorrow morning's court attendance, the package contains a named garment, one of the finest sachets, a cluster of 9 small glutinous rice dumplings, and a fan. A long life cord is wrapped around outside. For officials of the second tier, a garment, a sachet, a cluster of 9 small glutinous rice dumplings, and a long life cord. No fan. For the wider distribution to outer court officials, sachet and long life cords without the garments. The senior court lady moved down the list of names on paper slip, matching each recipient to the appropriate combination. She does not hurry. A gift assigned to the wrong recipient would be an error of ceremony, and errors of ceremony in an imperial distribution are not something she allows. By mid-afternoon, the first completed packages have begun to fill the north wall. By the time the afternoon light has reached the far wall, all the packages are complete. Along the north wall stand orderly rows. The most formal packages at the left, the largest prepared for the highest ranking officials. The simpler, long life court bundles to the right. A longer row and far more numerous. Each is tied with 5 colored cord. Each carries its paper notation. The senior court lady walks the length of the rows once, reading each notation and checking each package against its name. Tomorrow morning, these packages will be carried into the audience hall. The Empire will distribute them in person, giving the gifts of the Dragon Boat Festival in the first hours of the day. The officials will bow and receive them, then carry them home to their household, where the 9 small glutinous rice dumpling cluster will be hung, and the long life cords tied around the children's wrist before the summer heat fully arrive. She reaches the end of the row and straightens slowly. The eastern windows hold the fading light. The workroom is quieter now. The palace women have been released for the evening. The tables have been cleared. The scrape of cord and leaf swept away. The room is settled in the way a room settles after careful work, holding the evidence of what has made here in the smells of the herb, the faint fragrance of the sachet. From outside, the sounds of the inner palace moving towards evening. Somewhere across the courtyard, the plucked note of a pipa, starting and stopping. Footsteps on paving stones. A gate opened and closed. And so the senior court lady stands at the window for a moment. She has done this preparation enough times that the festival now arrives for her in the order of its tasks. Court, sachet, garments, fans, glutinous rice dumplings, assembly, the rows along the north wall. The summer evening settles over the inner palace. Behind her, the packages await in their ordered rows. Tomorrow, they will be carried into the audience hall of Daming Palace. Tonight, for a little while longer, they remain here in the fading light, ready for the 5th day of the 5th month, the Dragon Boat Festival. Tonight, we visit Chang'an, the largest city in the world during the Tang Dynasty, roughly 1300 years ago. Today is the 5th day of the 5th lunar month, the Dragon Boat Festival. Dawn has not yet arrived. Mosquitoes gather above the ponds in the gardens. The first cicadas have begun to sing from the trees along the walled walls. Even before sunrise, the stones still hold yesterday's warmth. Summer has arrived in Chang'an. Warm air lingers beneath the roof tiles long after sunset. For generations, people across the Tang Wall have regarded the 5th month as the season when the natural world begins to shift out of balance. The old texts call it the time when the creatures that sting and bite emerge. It is the season when heat lingers in rooms and tea house, when illness travels more easily between households. The Dragon Boat Festival is a moment and time for annual preparation. 2 plants have been chosen for this purpose across many generations. First, Mugwort. It is a silver gray leaf and clean, has aromatic scents. It had long been valued across the household. It was burned in medicine, gathered for domestic use, and hung above gates during the 5th month as a traditional way of helping protect the household from insects and the illness people associated with the summer season. Second, Calamus, whose long sword-shaped leaf were thought to stand quietly at the household doorway, a gentle symbol of protection for the household within. Together, they were tied in a bundle and hung above the gate of household at the start of the 5th month. Some gates belong to merchants, some to scholars, some to artisans and craftsmen, some to court officials. Before sunrise, countless households are quietly preparing the same green bundle. Tonight, we follow one such gate and the household behind it as the 5th day of the 5th lunar month arrive in Chang'an. Within one of the eastern walls, inside a walled compound belonging to a senior official of the Ministry of Rights, the household is still asleep. It is the hour before first light. Beyond the compound walls, Chang'an holds its silence. No carts move along the lane. No voices carry from the ward gate. The world is quiet. Only the small sounds of early summer remain. A breath of warm air beneath the eave. The faint settling of roof tiles above sleeping rooms. The compound gate is still closed. The outer wall holds the darkness within. But inside, one figure is already awake. he has not been called. The household will not wake for another hour. He rises every Dragon Boat festival morning before the rest, put on his outer robe without a word, and walks out into the compound garden. He walks without a lamp. He knows the compound in darkness, the way a man knows his own house after many years. The exact point where the paving stones shift, the slow branch of a plum tree that must be ducked, the sound the bamboo makes in even the slightest air. The garden is cool at this hour. The summer warmth that fills the estate during the day has retreated, held back by the dew that settles on stone and leaf in the last hour before dawn. The mugwort grows along the southern wall in a long, well-tended bed. The stalks are tall. Their leaves silver gray in the pre-dawn dark. He can smell them before he reaches them. Sharp, dry, and clean, belonging entirely to this plant and to this season and to this day. He crouches beside the plants and begins to select. He knows the formal requirements: stalk length, leaf condition, proper bundling method. He has overseen ritual observances at the imperial court on many occasions throughout the year. What he is doing now is not that. He runs a stem through his fingers and judges it the way his father taught him, not by text, not by ritual ceremony that he has overseen at the court, but by feel. A good stem is firm, but not woody. The leaf should be full and undamaged. The smell should be strong, not faint, and not still. He selects 5 stems and check each one in the pre-dawn gray. One leaf is damaged and he set the stem aside. He takes another. He gathers the selected stems and straightens them up. He holds the mugwort in one hand and pauses beside the garden path. From his robe, he takes a length of dark cord, cut the night before and tucked into his inner pocket. He has thought of this ahead of time. The calamus grows at the far end of the hearthbed. Long, sword-shaped leaf, smooth as lacquer wood. He selects some leaf and adds them to the bundle. The arrangement is simple. Calamus upright. Mugwort gathered around it. He ties the bundle at the base. The knot is plain. He ties it the way his father tied it, and the way his grandfather tied it before that. He picks up the bundle. The smell rises. Sharp, green, entirely brazen. The outer gate lies at the front of the estate. To reach it, he leaves the garden and passes through a succession of quiet courtyard, covered walkways, all still dark in the hour before dawn. Through one courtyard, then another. The outer gate stands ahead at last. Double wooden doors, iron banded, with a wooden bracket above them, reserved each year for the Dragon Boat Festival bundle. He stops at the gate and looks up at the bracket. Above it, last year mugwort and calamus still hangs, dried now to pale brown. The stems brittle. The scent long faded. The calamus leaves have curled inward at the edges. A full year has passed since he stood in the very same place at the same time. He brings over the small wooden step kept beside the gatehouse wall. Standing upon it, he reaches the bracket above the lintel and gently lifts down the last year bundle. Stepping back down on the stone pavement, he holds the dry bundle for a moment. 12 months ago, he stood here in the early morning quiet. Since then, the seasons have moved through the compound. The summer heat, the autumn rains, the cold stillness of winter and snow, the slow return of warmth. Another year has settled into memory. He set the old bundle against the base of the gate frame. He will burn it here later, not discard it carelessly, but return to fire as is the custom. The bracket above the gate is empty now. The gate looks bare in a way it will not look again until next year Dragon Boat Festival morning has come once more. He picks up the fresh bundle from the wooden step beside him. He tucks it into the bracket. Calamus upright. Mugwort gather around it. The court seated firmly in the groove. He adjusted once, then stepped back. The gate is now dressed with the bundle. The green of the fresh plants against the old iron-banded wood catches what little light the pre-dawn sky offers. The calamus leaf stands straight. Its long, flat surface pale in the gray air. The mugwort leaf cluster around it, silver green and full, as if the gate itself has been given a new season. From where he stands, a step back from the gate, the bundle looks the way it has looked every Dragon Boat Festival morning, because the form is the same. The smell is the same. The gate remains what it has always been. The point between the quiet of the household and the world beyond. He stands there for a moment without moving. From somewhere beyond the compound wall comes the sound of another gate opening, followed by a brief exchange of voices. Then the quiet settles once more. The world is beginning to wake. Across the eastern wards, then the western wards, then the great central avenues, Other households are doing what he has just done, taking down last year's dried remnants, replacing them with something green. Across the city, the scent of fresh mugwort begins to drift into the morning air. One household after another, one lane after another, until the fragrance becomes part of the Chang'an city itself. By sunrise, countless gates throughout Chang'an will bear fresh mugwort and calamus. The 5th day of the 5th month, the Dragon Boat Festival has arrived. This is what is done when the 5th month arrives. He stands for a moment beneath the gate. The bundle is in place. The household still sleep behind him. Chang'an City waits beyond the walls. He turns and walks back into the compound. In the kitchen, a light appears. A kitchen attendant has risen and lit their morning lamp. The household is waking. The day of the Dragon Boat Festival has arrived. He passes once more through the courtyard, and beside the garden, where the remaining mugwort plants stand along the southern wall. Next year, on another Dragon Boat Festival morning before dawn, he will return to this same wall. Behind him, above the outer gate, the fresh bundle hangs in its place. Calamus upright. Mugwort gathers around it. The mark of the 5th day of the 5th month has returned to the household. Across the Chang'an city, gates are being dressed one by one in the last darkness before dawn. Just as they were the year before, and the year before that, and for as many years as the 5th month has called for this. Tonight, we visit Chang'an. On the morning of the Dragon Boat Festival, the 5th day of the 5th lunar month, nearly 1,300 years ago, at the height of the Tang Dynasty, the city has begun to stir. Across the eastern and western walls, countless gates already have fresh bundles of mugwort and calamus. Steam rises from kitchens where Zongzi, glutinous rice wrapped in reed leaf, have cooked through the night. Children in the lanes already wear fragrant sachets at their waists. Somewhere along the great avenues, drums echo across the rooftop. Across the city, countless households are making the Dragon Boat Festival ready in their own way. Tonight, we follow one such household, and the quiet inner room where the festival arrives not through drums or gates, but through fragrance. The household has been awake for some time. Behind its outer courts and covered walkways, in one of the inner rooms, a work table has been set up for a task that has nothing to do with the gate or the Dragon Boat Festival food. The daughter of the household sits before it. She is 19 and has been making fragrant sachet for the household since the beginning of the 4th lunar month. Today is the morning they will be given. The final few need finishing. The table holds everything the work requires. Small ceramic jars with their lids set beside them. Folded lengths of silk gauze in several colors. A roll of fine cord. Needles already threaded. A small stone mortar placed near the left corner. The fabric for a sachet, a light silk gauze. Air passes gently through the weave, carrying the fragrance outward a little at a time. The scent is never trapped, only drifting outward with each movement. She lifts a length of soft green gauze and holds it towards the window. Morning light passes through it in a gentle wash of color, casting a faint pattern across her hand. The fabric is almost weightless. She has cut lengths of several colors over the past month. Crimson for her parents and grandmother, saffron yellow for the household senior's attendants, soft green for herself. The embroidered panels are finished and folded the previous evening. The last of them completed by lamplight, when the household had grown quiet. Only the swing of the final few, the fillings, and the tying remain. 3 ceramic jars stand at the table's left edge, their lids placed beside them. The first jar holds Chinese angelica root, the dry slices, pale and light, carrying a faint sweetness. The second holds calamus, the same plant that hangs above the compound gate this morning, ground into a coarse powder with flecks of green still visible among it. The third jar contains a small amount of agar wood and camphor. The camphor rests in delicate white flakes that catches the morning light like a touch of frost. She opens the mortars and walks the 3 together. Light strokes first, just enough to combine them. Then steadier pressure. The angelica and calamus release their fragrance right away, fresh and green. The agar wood and camphor take longer. Their scent emerges slowly beneath the herb, deep and warm, followed by the camphor gentle coolness. A quiet fragrance begins to gather in the room, sharp at the first breath, warm at the second. Then, after a quiet moment, a gentle coolness follows. She covers the mortar with its cloth and set it aside. She picks up the soft green sachet vase, the piece for herself, the last one, finished the previous evening. The design shows 2 birds in flight, each holding a length of silk ribbon in its beak, the ribbons crossing at the center. She had added the white ribbon lines last night by lamplight. The final stitches set when the rest of the household was already asleep. By lamplight, she could judge the stitching. but not the color. She holds the panel up to the morning window. The birds emerge clearly in daylight, sharper than she had expected. The white ribbon lines catching the morning light with a tiny repetitive flash from the metallic thread. Each stitch seems to pause the room for a breath. The faint sound of silk on silk falling away as the light moves across it. The tension at each stitch holds without pulling the weave. She checks the corners with her thumb, pressing gently against the gauze to feel whether anything has shifted overnight. She finds everything holds. She put it down with the others. Most of the sachets have been sewn. 10 of the 13 bodies had already been stitched and turned before she placed her needlework down at night. The border swing easier by lamplight than the embroidery. The stitches larger and less delicate. 3 remain, set aside because the feeling was to be ground fresh this morning. She picks up the first and completes its border. Then the second and third. The 3 new sachets join the 10 already waiting on the table. Crimson, saffron, and soft green. Each left open for filling, each holding its shape. The room is quiet. The sounds of the Dragon Boat Festival morning drift in from the world outside at a pleasant distance. Presence, but not entering. She removes the cloth from the mortar. The herb blend inside is a pale dry powder, uniform from the grinding. She lifts the mortar and takes a small bone spoon from the table. 1 spoon of powder into the first sachet body through the gap. She walks the filling to the center with 2 fingers, pressing lightly so it sits evenly. The sachet shape holds the powder well. The gauze resists collapse, keeping the round full. The smell close like this is immediate. The canvas coolness first, then the eagle wood depth below it, then the angelica sharp above both. 3 distant smell, then blending into something that belongs to none of them individually. She fills each sachet in turn. The fragrance deepens as she walks through, accumulating in the still air of the inner room. The row of sachets now rests full and fragrant on the table. She reaches for the 5-color silk cord, known as the longevity threads, traditionally tied during the 5th month. She draws the cord through the opening of the sachet and easy close. The ends fall evenly beneath her hands before she ties a simple knot. Below it, the braided silk tassel hangs with a gentle weight, ready to sway in each step. She braided these hanging strands in the days before the Dragon Boat Festival. Each one is weighted at the end. The silk wound back on itself and neatly bound, so it swings with a gentle weight whenever the sachet moves. She holds the finished crimson sachet at arm's length, round and plump, with the embroidered side facing outward. A small falcon stitched in gold thread. Its wings swept back in flight against the deep crimson gauze. For a moment, she studies it in the morning light. Soon, the remaining sachets are finished as well. Before her, a row of finished sachets stretched across the table. Some are large, some no bigger than the palm of her hand. 13 sachets in total, made over the past month and finished on Dragon Boat Festival morning. The largest are for her parents and grandmother. The mid-size are for her sisters and senior attendants. The smallest are for the younger serving woman, each filled with the same blend. The 2 soft green ones sit at the end of the row are for her. She picks one up and hangs it from the cord at her waist. The sachet sways gently as she moves. The smell reaches her immediately. The eagle-wood and camphor already drifting through the gauze, slow and continuous. The room holds the mugwort in one small row. For a moment, she looks at them in the morning light. She clears the work table. The ceramic jars are closed. The mortar wiped and covered. The needles return to their case. The table returns to a clear surface. The whole mugwort now rests in the 13 sachets laid neatly across the work table. From the outer hall comes the sound of the household, resembling footsteps. A door drawn open. Her mother's voice carrying the morning's arrangement. The ward outside carries the Dragon Boat Festival morning fully. Drums, somewhere distant. Voices. The smell of cooked food and fresh mugwort and calamus moving through the lanes. She gathers sachet carefully into her arms and carries them out towards the hall. And so, the younger daughter of the household carries the festival sachet into the morning. 13 fragrant sachets in various colors: crimson, saffron, soft green, each tied with 5 color cords. The fragrance already drifting gently through the gauze as she walks. Beyond the compound gate, the sounds of the Dragon Boat Festival morning continue through the wards of Chang'an. The world we visited tonight grows quiet now, and you can simply rest here, comfortable and at ease. Your mind can relax. Your body can soften. If you are already drifting into sleep, allow yourself to sink a little deeper. If you are still awake, listen to the quiet. There is nothing more to do, nowhere else to be. I'll be here whenever you need another peaceful moment like this. But for now, rest gently and sleep well. Good night.